coming to you with another episode of Flip My House Chattanooga. I'm sitting here at our first house in Lupton City we did, 3627 Northrop, which hopefully you've been watching all the videos of the transformation that we have made. But we put the house, we really never put it on the market. Dana was a friend of our contractors. They go to church together, and she had come by and taken a look at the house and really didn't like it. She actually saw it in the position that it was kind of nasty, and you came through and you're going, yeah, this is kind of nice, isn't it?
Definitely an improvement.
Definitely improvement when you came by the last time. So when she came by at the open house that we had, took a look at it, and then just to kind of make sure this was the right house for her, we went out and looked at probably 3 or 4 different houses in the neighborhood, I think, ranging from different price ranges. Why did you, of those that we looked at, why did you decide on this house opposed to the others that we looked at?
Well, the value for the house compared with the neighborhood just was exceptional. I mean, I had purposely picked out some houses that were a much lower price range with the same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms, as well as some that had the same amount of bedroom and bathrooms at a higher range. And there really was no difference between this one and the ones at the higher range. So I was really impressed by the value and just the work that was done here in the house. It was all top-notch stuff.
Even though you know the contractor, you still decided to move in here.
Yeah, that was a big contributing factor.
David, that one was for you, man. That was for you. But a little bit about the neighborhood. I know that one of the first concerns that we discussed was Lupton City, and being Lupton City, and it's kind of an up-and-coming neighborhood for those of you who maybe haven't driven through here. We've actually just purchased another house right down the road, so we're, as a company, staying within this neighborhood to try to bring it back to the original value of where it was several years ago. But what helped you or kind of overcame that concern about the neighborhood?
Well, I was originally pretty concerned, especially my parents were, in the just kind of the appearance of the neighborhood as you drive through, and that was a concern for a while. But after I've stayed here a little bit more, especially just visiting the house before I purchased it, especially in the evening hours, there was not a concern at all. It was a very quiet neighborhood. Even as many houses as there are in here, you could not hear any traffic around. You could still hear the crickets at night.
Which is unusual in a lot of neighborhoods you go to.
Yes. So it became not a concern, and even recently I've met some of my neighbors that live up the street, and it's just a very close-knit community. I mean, it's the kind of place that you see everybody checking their mail and meet your mailman. And
you can actually call it a neighborhood.
Yes.
It's not a subdivision. It's more of a neighborhood. In a lot of subdivisions, you don't really run into that. I mean, like where I live, you see people kind of coming and going. You have a nice long wave at it, but nobody really knows everybody in the neighborhood.
And even in my apartment that I was in before, which is a big apartment complex, I didn't know my neighbors there. So I've actually met more neighbors here than I have living 2 years in an apartment complex.
That's kind of interesting. Also, with the neighborhood right behind us is a neighborhood called the Overlook. Houses there, it's going to be more of a traditional 1920 style neighborhood, similar to what we've got here at Lupton City down in North Chattanooga. But there's a house going up almost directly behind us here that's in the mid to low 300s, I think, and that whole neighborhood is going to be adding value to what we're doing here at Lupton City. Did you find anything that needed to be done, construction-wise, when you moved in?
There were a few little things, and I was really impressed that they weren't issues. Knowing the contractor and knowing the broker now, they were all things that were taken care of, and nothing was major anyway. It was all very small things. And most of those were addressed even before I was officially moved in.
Sure. I think that was even something we talked about in the very beginning, as far as wanting to make sure that, and you should, if any house you get, you want to make sure you do a home inspection. And we encourage that because we like to know what we've missed, if anything. And I think there were a few things that came up in the home inspection that we were hopefully we got everything taken care of prior to.
Yeah, there was definitely some concerns just being an older house.
Mm-hmm.
I was very concerned about just structurally how sound it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the home inspector had some concerns too. But those were things that were taken care of by a professional. You know, he came out and looked at.
Yeah, we actually had a structural engineer come out and crawled underneath the house and provided you with a certified letter stating that the house is structurally sound.
Yeah, so that was even though you can look at the hardwood floors and see that there's no buckling issues, it's still kind of a concern, and that he added an extra confidence measure there. So.
It's always good doing an older house. You know, that's one of the characters of a lot of these older houses that we find is you know, the floors are never going to be level, the walls are never going to be perfectly straight. You know, but I can assure you, you can go into some new houses today that are brand new on the market, and you're going to have floors that aren't level, corners that aren't straight. But from a structure standpoint, these old houses built in the 20s through the 50s, you know, were built very nicely and very soundly, and that's why we try to focus, as far as a company, on rehabbing these type of houses. But Dana, it has always been a pleasure meeting you and working with you. I know it's your first time house. And we enjoy working with first-time home buyers. I told you how things were going to happen, and they kind of happened the way we discussed.
It was very much you were very much a fortune teller and how things went, because I know from the start you had said that things are going to take off and go really fast, and you're just going to be shocked, and they did. Every day there was a new development in the whole process, and
great.
It was good working with you though, because I had no clue how all this was going to work, and apparently you do. So
well, we've been doing it a while. We bought several houses, and you know, for those of you that are watching, you know, we do focus on first-time home buyer market. It's just something I enjoy doing. I remember when I bought my first house. I'm sure a lot of you did, and it's just a joy and a pleasure to be able to watch those folks like Dana coming into their first house, knowing exactly the phases they're going to go through, and saying, here's what's going to happen. Because I've been there, and now Dana's been there, and she can share with some of her other friends as well about what the process is. But all in the end, the whole thing is getting a new homeowner into a freshly remodeled house that has some added value in it for the neighborhood and for what you're purchasing. But Dana, again, I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. Share with your friends what we're doing. And guys, I want to thank you for watching this episode of Flip My House Chattanooga. And stay tuned, because we have a house right down the street that we're working on, where we're actually taking the top of the house off, making a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house into a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house.